So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Glad to know who Terry Geyer is. Thank you. Hello, Terry Geyer. Okay, so anybody else have a win that you'd like to share?
I'll share my win.
Okay, yes, Corey.
My win is that I booked myself on the coaching course in a couple of weeks.
Oh, the
That's my
online
win.
coaching course. Oh, fantastic. I hope you have lots and lots of wins on that course.
Me too.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have a win you'd like to share? Yes, Alexi.
Yeah, I did my life plan or life zone review with Raul yesterday, and yeah, I think it was very helpful at pinpointing both things that are really fluid and some things that I kind of where some energy is trapped and specific things to work on, and I'm excited to do that, and yeah, excited to have kind of additional clarity on. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that qualifies, yeah, so I'm excited to do more practicing.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Okay, so hello, Tracy. Thank you for joining us. So I love this chapter, Using Fear as an Asset, because Alan gives a couple of great pointers in this chapter as that you can take out and use every day of your life on how he used fear and kind of the secret steps that he took, or they're not really secret, but the steps that he took to overcome those, the fears that he had. So Camilo, I just want to check in with you. What is the point or the main point that you like in this chapter?
Yes, thank you, Sil. Yeah, what I really like about this chapter is how he shows how to use fear as an asset. But what I like it is that he didn't try to do it big from the beginning, okay, I'm going to talk in front of 1,000 people. No, he went down to a very specific, small step. He started confronting it step by step, getting some wins, gaining confidence. And as he was moving forward, he started to get more and more wins, but he did it in a gradient way. So that's what I really like about this chapter. And one thing I really connected with that because I did something similar when I arrived to Mexico 8 years ago. I wanted to improve my communication. So I joined a Toastmasters club, and I started step by step. And that's what happens when you start, is you realize, okay, how big is your fear? Where is the fear? You start identifying different aspects about the fear, and in that way you can start confronting it, but being specific. And then you start getting some wins, and then as you get more wins, you start becoming better in the area. So yes, it was like Alan telling a story that I also went through. So being able to use all those wins in order to become even better in that skill that was fearful at the beginning. So yeah, I really like that.
Thank you so much, Camilo. So I want to open it up to everyone on the call now. I have a question for you. I'm curious if there's ever been a time when you had a big fear and you couldn't move forward, but you confronted it. And basically what I'm looking for is, what did you do to overcome it? Does anybody have anything that comes to mind, a time when you had to confront a fear and you took a step and you made progress and you took another step? So I'm just curious. I'd love to know, what process did you run? What did you actually do to help to overcome it, if you're willing to share? Does anybody have an example? Yes, Paul Noble, and then we'll go over to Borm. Thank you.
Thank you. I think back to a few years ago, my other daughter, Krista Noble, Alexi is here with us as well, but my other daughter, Krista Noble, was graduating with her PhD, and parents were invited to come up and speak. And my wife, Michelle, speaks very comfortably in front of large groups. And for myself, it's more difficult. But the first thing I did is I thought and wrote down what I wanted to say. And that kind of provided a basis. I was thinking I would just say that and I would be comfortable. But when I got up there, I realized I felt comfortable enough to speak more freely. And that was a huge win for me. And so I was confronted my fear, and then it was very rewarding to do that.
Thank you so much, Paul. Excellent example. And so, Borm, what did you do?
Yeah, so mainly it was about I was asked to teach other students when I was like 13 years in school, and I knew straight away technically I can do it, but I was so scared even to talk to other people that I couldn't imagine teaching other people when I don't talk to other people. So yeah, so mainly what I did, I surrounded myself. I found a kind of a safe environment, because I asked the teacher certain things. So I asked him for backup. What's happened if I cannot speak at all? So I asked for backup. I was asking what people are in the group, so like feeling in a safe environment. And as Camilo said at the beginning, I was asking myself the question, it's easier to start small, because it's a group of 20 people and they are students. They're not going to kill me. I'm not going to talk in front of the parliament for the first time. So mainly was like getting trusted people around, and at the same time getting a backup when it goes wrong. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And having this thought what the worst thing can happen. And actually there was not much thing which probably 20 students would, as they didn't know me very well before, they're not going to like me so much anymore. Well, that's the worst thing that can happen. So that was great.
Thank you. Oh, that's a great example. And those are two really awesome questions. If I could, Corey, I'll come to you next to add to those questions that you asked yourself. You know, I've shared this with most of you guys. I was terrified of speaking in front of people, like terrified, probably as bad as Alan, even worse if that's possible. So I finally asked myself, I promised myself if I ever got to talk to Kim Kiyosaki that I would do it. I wouldn't chicken out. And so I was really sick, like just sick at my stomach. I was so terrified. So I asked myself two questions. What am I afraid of? Because I needed to pinpoint it. And so I was afraid that if I got on stage, they would ask me a question that I didn't know how to answer. And so then I looked a little bit deeper, and I was like, and I was afraid of looking stupid, which was triggering a lot of pain in my school. I didn't do well in school. So then what I did was, okay, if you get asked a question that you don't know the answer to, okay, you might feel stupid, but how could you handle that? And so once I saw how I could handle that on stage in front of a bunch of people, which is just be honest and tell them that I didn't know the answer to that question, and that at break, I'm sitting right over here at this table and you can come see me. And if I hadn't worked it out by then, I'll take your name and phone number. When I get back to Texas, I'll call you with the answer. So that handled a lot of fear for me. I just got on the stage and I blossomed, but I narrowed it down to two questions. What am I afraid of? And then I was like, okay, so how could I handle that if that happens? And then my audiences have gotten bigger and bigger. So those are two questions you can ask yourself. So I hope that helps. So Corey, over to you.
Hi, yeah, great question. I did a trainer course with Blair Singer, and part of that, you know, getting over the fear of speaking on stage was getting over the fear of embarrassment and looking stupid. So on one of the nights, you get to do a sketch, you know, of something and act outrageous and kind of blow the fear. And for me, that gets to the heart of it: fear of looking silly, fear of looking stupid. So yeah, so once I've done that and I was quite outrageous, I don't really have any issues with it. You know, I'm quite comfortable with it. So it was a great training by Blair Singer.
Beautiful. I've heard a lot of people that's taken that course and got a lot of wins out of it. If it's the one I'm thinking of, but it's taught by Blair. So awesome. Thank you, Corey. Okay. Anybody else have a fear that you want to share that was bothering you in life and you managed to get over and do whatever you wanted to do that you'd like to share, and just tell us, what did you do? Yes, Alexi.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar. And in some ways, it's a small example, but, you know, I used to do more, and even just like growing up, I did a fair amount of speaking in front of people. And it wasn't like the most comfortable thing ever for me, but I was kind of in the habit of it. And then I just went through a period of my life where I didn't do it as much. And I started to feel much more anxiety surrounding it. And, you know, and for me, like I would be cool about it in my head, but I would just have a really strong, like physiological reaction and just like kind of like tremble and, you know, and things like that. And anyway, but I was a dance teacher, you know, and I was starting to like teach classes. I'm like, well, I need to be able to speak in front of the group comfortably. And I guess like I just kind of, I mean, I think I also kind of ran the like, what's the worst that could happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thought like, okay, well, nothing really that bad, probably, right? But also then I just kind of just decided that, well, like when you're scared of something, sometimes what you need is the proof that you can handle it. And the only way to get the proof that you can handle it is just to grit your teeth and do it. So I just accepted the fact like, okay, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to shake, and that may be visible to my students and it may not, but I'm just going to teach the class anyway. And you know what? It may be a little uncomfortable, but I'm just going to do it. And so I did it. And then sure enough, in like, you know, 4 or 5 classes, nothing disastrous had happened. So the charge kind of ran off, and there's just, you know, and then I could just be calm about it. Yeah.
Great example. Thank you. Okay, so now I want to talk to you guys. Camilo, is there anything you want to add before I go over to this next section?
Yes, just what came to mind is like many opportunities are behind those fears.
Yeah.
So normally when you start feeling the fear, it's like, okay, maybe this is something that I must follow up, because the fear itself is telling you, okay, there is something that maybe I don't see yet, but it's making me go and look. So trying to find the opportunity behind the fear, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, great point. That goes right along with what he says in the chapter. I love it when he went to speak and then somebody was in the audience and then they asked him to, was it the TV? To be on the TV. Everyone's going to be in the audience when you speak, and then what kind of opportunity you're going to be asked to do, which is a great thing, right? But also the fear can be a lot bigger, and then you have to confront a larger amount of fear. But so I want to open it to you guys and see, is there a favorite part of the chapter that you really liked, or that just really just touched you, that you'd like to share? Because I'd love to hear from you. This is interactive and I don't want to do all the talking, because I'd like to hear from you guys. So is there a favorite part of the chapter that you'd be willing to share? Yes, Corey.
Yes, relates to Alan talking about the previous chapter when he fled into the night, you know, when he tripped over, and I was doing some mad science, and basically was teaching young children who were probably about 8 science, but in a theatrical way. And then I lost control of the class. They started fighting. They were answering me back, and it just went to it just went south very quickly. So I had to run out and get the other teacher in another room to stabilize the class. But yeah, it was like a moment from you know, Kindergarten Cop. You know, when Arnold Schwarzenegger, he just goes crazy. But I just always remember it because they just gave me, they saw where I was vulnerable and they took advantage. But that's why I love children.
Thank you, Corey. It's a great story. So I want to know, I mean, you have to admit, every time you do something that's fearful, you do grow from it, right? You do learn something. And if you want to be your biggest and greatest self, you have to be willing to push into those areas that you're not that comfortable in. And even if you don't achieve what you wanted to achieve, at least you know how to do it better next time. So you can achieve that. And that's the only way to continue to grow. Anybody else have anything that they really like from the chapter that you'd like to share? And how are our Facebook fans doing?
Still,
Yeah,
I
went
think
into
Jorn
here. What do you call
was-
it, webinar? I used to, how do you doing? Do you use Zoom? I now just turned it on. I just made it fun, but I don't know if I have the microphone or camera on this thing. You have it?
okay. I think it's Paul, but
Oh,
he's.
yeah, the mic-
I don't know if he's talking with us.
It doesn't work through Zoom, right?
So I
But
will
someone
mute
asked me, said, oh, there's a poll.
sorry. Yeah, I couldn't hear him well. So still,
Was that
I-
Paul? Oh, the other Paul?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Paul,
Paul, but
Yeah, I just want to check in with Paul. Paul, were you talking to us or another conversation? We weren't able to hear exactly what you were wanting to share with us. Okay, so,
yes.
okay.
I think also Jorn was raising his hand.
Hey, Joe. Okay, yes, Born, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, what came in my mind when it comes about using fear as an asset, that he used it even like, for me, it was like 2 times, because he had a lot of fear about speaking. He took notice what's happened outside, how people are reacting. And instead of not having fear, I mean, sometimes I'm very curious about people when they're like, I'm gonna go on the stage and I'm gonna talk. Because most of the time for me, it turns out they're a legend in their own mind. They're enjoying talking there, but sometimes they're the only one in the whole room, because there is no fear. So there is not such a need or a search to actually look what the other people are doing, thinking, and if they're understanding. So this way I was thinking, even the fear, it's good. In this way, it's pretty good, because he was focused on the audience. And then he got the results as well. And he overcame his fear. So that was great, yeah.
No, that is a fabulous point. I find when I'm present with the audience and just make it about them, I don't know, I don't even feel fearful. You know? Yes. So Paul Noble or,
Yes, please.
okay, yes.
The other thing in that chapter that I really liked was something that Alan said that I've also experienced, and that is in situations where you're nervous and you let the audience know
Yeah.
that you're, gee, I'm new to this, I'm not comfortable, I'm sorry, I may be shaking, the audience really, you win them over. They as opposed to if you sort of pretend that you're this or that or whatever, that it's
You were
sort of
talking to me?
falseness there. But if you're able to just admit where you're coming from, the audience can be very supportive and makes it a lot easier.
I so agree with you. Great point, Paul. If I could say one thing, I will never forget one time I was on stage and I literally lost my train of thought. And so I was frozen and blocked there. And I remember what Alan said in this particular chapter, and I just told you. And there are several hundred people there that I lost my train of thought. That I literally lost. Can you hear me? Yeah, that I lost my train of thought. I just was honest. And as soon as I told them that, it's like I just got unblocked and I was able to remember but standing there trying not to let them know, it doesn't work, and I just said, I just lost my train of thought, and I gave myself permission, and then it just came to me. So, yeah. So being honest and transparent, people respect that, and that's what they want. They want you to be genuine. So, Corey, thank you.
Yeah, it's like just second what you and Paul said. It's like bringing the crowd into agreement when you're honest about it and you're nervous. They empathize. empathize, empathize,
Yeah.
and then they come closer to you, and it becomes more of a safe environment because they understand. So yeah, it's a very good tool to use. Definitely. Be honest.
It's a lot easier
Yeah.
most of the time.
Not unless they're children and then they're taking money.
So, okay, so I just want to check in. Thank you, Corey. So I want to check in and see if are there any other wins that anyone would like to share with us before we wrap this call up? Yes, Angel. Hello.
Hello, thank you. I'm preparing for my course, so I'm here at 1:30 p.m. a.m. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And one thing that I like, because it's too late, so I'll be speaking like this. Okay, can you hear me well? Thank you.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Awesome.
I think you're Singapore, right? Singapore?
I'm in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yes, okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And the one thing I really like is as I communicate more of myself, my audience grow larger.
Yeah.
That is
Thank you.
it's really
Beautiful.
awesome and beautiful.
Mhm.
And I find it's connection that because myself is exactly as you is the same, right? So people can connect with me more when I'm myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Can you guys hear me? My microphone's cutting in and out. Thank you. So now I'd just like to open it up to see if anybody else has something good they'd like to share or any win before we leave this call. Any wins from anybody? Yes, David.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend who practices Sedona method, and she asked me to facilitate her dealing with some issues. So I started with that, and then I switched into using Alan's charge handling and some of the mass handling steps. And it was really pleasing because she said afterwards that what I was doing was really effective and I was really, really good at it. And I explained to her I was using some knowledgeism techniques and she's interested in learning more. So yay.
Oh, beautiful. What a win. Great. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Anybody else have a win? That was a big one. Anybody else have a win you want to share?
Yeah, me. Still reading How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling, which you recommended to me, Sil. And in there, he talks about his fear of doing sales and actually doing a speaking course in order to handle it. So if you can speak to a lot of people, then you can be more effective one-on-one. So 10 years of reading that book, that's my win. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. Great job, Corey. Okay. Anybody else have a win you want to share? Okay, Alexi.
You already know the seal because I told you, but one of my best friends is I was talking to her the other day, and I was just telling her about starting to learn how to do the processing and about the book, and I told her like I can send you a book if you want to do it, and I'd be happy to work with you, do some like processing with you. And she was like, actually, this is really good timing. She's like, I really kind of feel right now that I could use a little like kind of extra direction as such. Like this seems like, perfect timing with that. And she seems excited about it. So I'm excited.
Beautiful.
It's awesome.
Great job. Thank you. Anybody else? Final last call. Any wins? Okay, it has been such a pleasure to be with you guys today. Thank you so much for being so interactive and just sharing what worked for you. And all of your wins with us. And thank you for dialing in the middle of the morning, and Angel, and for all of you for dialing in. It was an honor to connect and just be with you, and you share your presence with us. And have a green zone rest of your day, rest of your morning, wherever you are, and have a green zone week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Alexi,
Bye,
if
everyone. Good to
Alexi,
see you.
if you can stay on the phone, that would be great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Facebook friends.